Alright, everyone, welcome to the Nintendo Switch presentation discussion. And originally I was gonna do a live reaction, or not live, but I was gonna film my own reaction. But currently I'm sick, and when I was watching it, I literally couldn't even talk. So what I'm gonna do is, this is the next day. I'm feeling a little bit better, and now I can actually think and talk. I'm gonna skim through the video of the presentation and discuss things I think that are neat. I'm not gonna talk about everything because some of these things I don't even care about or even know. I'm gonna go through most of it, and I'm gonna give my first-hand thoughts. Alright, let's start. Alright, so the first thing I found is that the release date is March 3rd, 2017. And I think that's really cool. This threw off everybody because almost everybody thought it was going to be the 17th. If you were looking at rumors and whatnot, you know. Having it on the 3rd is really nice because not only do you get it like a full 2 weeks earlier, but yeah, that's good. That's the only good thing. I don't know where I was going with this. The $300 price point is a good spot. I mean, I think Nintendo said they didn't want to sell the Switch at a loss. That means that everything that's included in the Switch is in this price point, which is pretty cool because the more expensive it gets, you know, the harder it's going to be to afford. But obviously, the better the console's going to be. So, I mean, that's pretty good. You know, $300, not bad. Oh, this is the one bad thing that I noticed from the press conference. So Nintendo announced during the thing, or the presentation, that online would no longer be free, at least not after the free period ends or whatever. So apparently when the Switch comes out, for the first few months, there's going to be free online. And I guess it's a good sign because the way they put it in what everything online reads, there's going to be like, you know, PlayStation-esque and Xbox-esque, you know, online where you can like have friends or add friends to a list and then like go to parties or go into parties with them, and then you can have voice chat with people in games online. So that's pretty cool that Nintendo's finally opening up to this. But what's not cool is that before Nintendo was it was free online, and that's really cool because online necessarily, this was in one of my old videos but hardly anyone watched that, but I'm just gonna, you know, bring back the point I made then, and I still hold true to this point, is that online doesn't require extra payments. The only reason they really want extra payments is because it's a convenient excuse for extra payments. I don't really think online, you know, demands such high amounts of money, you know? So I think it's just a cheap way for them to make extra money. That's not necessarily bad because even though Nintendo service isn't out, who knows? This could be like super revolutionary, you know, and then just got like all these new features that would require, you know, extra funding. But still, I mean, you know, that it's not free. Another big point I saw in the video or in the presentation was that the Switch will be region free, and this is a very good thing because now, like before, let's say I had my 3DS, right, and I wanted to play this game like insanely badly or just review it early so I could, you know, get it out as soon as possible, but the Japanese copy of the game releases a full month earlier before the English version does, or the American version. So if I wanted to play the Japanese version, what I would have to do is I would have to buy a Japanese 3DS and then get the Japanese game and then play it. I couldn't take my American 3DS and then play the Japanese game cartridge on it. Now this is very good because now I can take any cartridge from any country. You can basically import any game from anywhere and it'll play the exact same, and there won't be any restrictions, you know, nothing like that. So that's really cool. Something I just noticed in the video was that there's now a share button, and the share button was leaked, I think so at least, but the point is that Nintendo adding the share button means a lot because it means that they're willing to create a system where you can have friends and show friends footage or game clips or anything Or that means you could also possibly stream your gameplay like PlayStation and possibly Xbox allow. I don't know, I don't have an Xbox, but I think they might do it. But that's really cool because that means they're finally opening up to this stuff that the other two companies have had for a while. I like how they have color variations. As useless as that sounds, you can customize your Switch. That's pretty cool. And yeah, that's about it. I like the wrist strap a lot, mostly only because it makes the triggers on the little Joy-Cons a lot bigger. So because when you look at it without the wrist strap thing, those triggers look insanely small, and you know how you're supposed to hit them. You'll probably just end up, they probably don't feel like you're clicking anything. They probably just feel like nothing, and I'm sure that'll become annoying. But now that they added this, now you can actually feel it, and it's a lot easier to press it. You know, so it feels more natural in the hands. Because I mean, looking at these things, they're already very small to begin with, so making everything bigger is a lot better. I don't think anyone really uses the wrist strap. I think literally no one uses it. So the right Joy-Con has like a motion sensor bar, like the Wii remote does. And I don't know if that means that there's gonna be a sensor bar, but I'm sure it does, or maybe not. I don't know. But I think that's really good because knowing a lot of games use this feature, Pikmin, and I couldn't imagine playing Pikmin now without like using like, you know, the sensor and the Wii remote, because it doesn't feel good without it. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And also I think later in the video they said either both or one of the controllers, like the Joy-Cons, have gyro controls, and I think that's really cool because if anyone knows how to do gyro correctly, it's Nintendo. I mean, just look at like Splatoon, you know, it really shows that. Because it basically changed the whole game. With sticks, that game feels unnatural, but with like gyro, you can have these very precise aiming controls, and it just adds a lot of, you know, depth to it. So that's pretty cool. And just imagine that with like 2 controllers. So something that seems something that a lot of people on the internet made fun of was the fact that it has what they call to be HD rumble, and people, and in the video or the presentation, they compared it to shaking a glass full of ice and water. And so people on the internet were like, oh yeah, a glass shaking game, yeah, that'll be fun, coming out 2017 holiday season, everybody, you know. But I still think that this is actually really cool because I don't know what it feels like, but I'm sure, knowing Nintendo, it'll probably be alright. I mean, when it comes to making weird gimmicky stuff like this, Nintendo's can always do it somewhat well, but I'm just like curious to see how game developers will like take this and run with it, or will they just like drop it and leave it where it was, you know? So we'll have to find out. I just finished watching the trailer for A12 Switch, and I think that's a pretty cool game. I mean, it's like the Wii Sports of the Switch, and nothing, I mean, it's alright. I mean, I'm sure it's like a good game that you could play like once or twice when the console first comes out, but I'm sure it doesn't have much replayability, and I'm sure it gets old and stale pretty quick. But I'm sure it's like a good couple hours of fun, so I mean, why not? If you want to get it, you know? So the trailer for ARMS just started playing, and looking at this this image right here, I think the determination in these actors' eyes is way too strong. Especially the guy on the left, you could just see the pure emotion. I mean, it's too much to handle. Besides that, I think the game concept is pretty good, but this sort of feels like a game that should have been included in A12 Switch or something like that. Like, this doesn't feel like it should be a standalone game, because I'm sure this game has like some replayability, but I mean, it's not something that, I don't think it has enough content to consider itself as a full game. So hopefully this game, like, maybe if they release more games like this, they'll put them in a big bundle or something and put them in as a cheaper price. Or maybe this game will just come very cheap to begin with. But if this is like a full $60, then I don't know if it's worth it, you know. So I just finished watching the Splatoon trailer, and I gotta say, looking back, I thought that this game would be like a Splatoon revamp, or just like a port of the old game. It didn't even have to include anything else, anything new. It could have just been like, you know, just a better looking version of the game, you know, with better, maybe some extra things or something. But I didn't figure it to be like a full game. I mean, it feels like too recent. I mean, I think it's only been 2 years. Yeah, Splatoon came out in 2015. So seeing as how the second game is already in the works, that's very fast, and I didn't figure it to come so early. But I mean, it looks alright. But I mean, who cares about the new maps and new weapons when you have new hairstyles? But in all seriousness, in the trailer they added this what I presume to be like a rolling feature or something, but it actually looks like it could add a lot of depth to the game if you could just like roll around and then use your weapons and whatnot. And also in the bottom left, like you could see like your little command icons, like to talk and say messages. And before it was like come on and booyah or something like that. But I guess looking through the trailer, there's like little things you can customize and put different messages. And I also like how there seem to be a lot more weapons, and the weapons that were in the old game are being improved. Like the little roller thing. Before, you would, if you would, you know, just tap the trigger, you'd shoot a little like line of ink, and it could like hurt your enemies, and it'd do like a decent amount of damage. But now if you jump while doing that, you could shoot like a vertical line of ink. And I think just little things like that can add a lot of depth to a game like this. And I think that's really cool. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. This one's my first genuine excitement. Also, I don't know if they mentioned this, but having two gyro controllers, if they're both gyro, once again, I don't know. I'm just sort of assuming they're both gyro. But if it is gyro, then imagine having two controllers that are both gyro and having a weapon in the game. Like, I'm sure this only applies to specific weapons, like if they're dual wielded, like little tiny pistols or something, where you could shoot in two different directions based on like where your gyro controller is pointed at, you know. And I think that'd be really cool. It'd kind of be like VR except without the headset. If they did that, I don't know if they are, but if they did that, that'd be really cool. I think it'd be really fun to try out. So hopefully that's a thing. If not, then whatever, you know. The next thing that I noticed, or that came up, was the Mario trailer. And I gotta say, this looks a lot different than the last 3D game, 3D World. I mean, now Mario's roaming around little New York City or whatever, New Donk City. I actually think it's really cool. They have a bunch of Donkey Kong references, but it's very weird. I mean, I guess the world, like the city, acts as like a hub, but I mean, it's just weird. Like, this isn't the direction I expect them to go in at all. I thought they'd like play it safe, but I guess not. I don't know what engine this is running on, but the graphics look so good. I mean, looking just at the raw footage, it's kind of hard to see in the YouTube presentation because I'm not watching this live. I'm looking at the presentation after, but it's sort of compressed. But when I was looking at the stream, even on stream, you could like make out the seams in his overalls, and I think just like imagine that on like a full TV or something, you know. I think it'd be really cool. They also made his hair look realistic, and that's pretty cool. But the levels look to be a lot more open, and they're not so like linear anymore. The controls look really weird. I mean, just looking at the way that he's running around and stuff, it looks like the controls would act a lot differently than like Galaxy or 3D World. I also like the minor details about like when he goes underwater, how how his cheeks puff up. I don't know what to think about like Bowser. That's just, I got nothing. Also, they added a new feature where you can like use your hat to jump off of, and having like a tiny portable platform like that is actually a really cool mechanic. Just add a lot to the game, and I think that'd be very cool. But thinking back just a moment ago where I said that the levels are more open, looking through these trailers, the levels do look more open, but at the same time they look kind of empty. Like there's a lot of open space, but there's nothing in that open space, you know? So that kind of is a little bit of, it's a little concerning, but I mean, I just gotta wait and find out, you know? Also, throughout the trailer, I didn't notice the Koopalings a single time, and that's very cool because those characters have been so overused. I can't think of a single Mario game in like the past decade where they weren't in it. Well, I'm sure I could think of at least one, but the fact is they've been in most of them and they're getting overused. I mean, hell, they even transferred over to Paper Mario. I mean, this looks really cool. I mean, it looks good. It looks fun. Also, his hat is alive. I mean, that too, I guess. So Mario isn't a release date title, but if it was, then that'd probably throw everything off balance. Zelda and Mario coming on the same day would just be like absolutely crazy. The new Xenoblade, I mean, I didn't really play. I played through a little bit of the first two Xenoblade games, the original and then the Xenoblade X on the Wii U. I just never got into them, but I still think they're fun games. And looking at Xenoblade 2, the art style is what stands out the most to me, because this looks really good. And it looks like it's going to be a good game overall, so I'm excited. And then after that, very recently, Fire Emblem has started to catch my attention, and seeing this Fire Emblem teaser really has me excited, because I think it looks good. So they said that over 80 titles are in development for the Switch that are third party, and that's a pretty good number for like release day or around release day window titles, because the biggest problem with the Wii U was that nobody besides Nintendo was developing games for it. I mean, if you look at like Rayman Legends, for example, I mean, just everybody, even Rayman ditched. It was going to be a Wii U exclusive, and then they saw the poor sales of the Wii U and said, you know what, no, we're jumping ship, we're porting this to other platforms too. Even though the Wii U got like exclusive like game gimmicks and gameplay ideas, they gotta have more games on it. That's the whole reason, because if they don't, then people are gonna say, oh, what do I want a console that can only play Nintendo games on, you know? So if they can capture that, it'll be very promising. Also, Elder Scrolls Skyrim is confirmed. And I was thinking to myself while I was watching this, how funny would it be if they showed Skyrim in the first Switch video, you know, the first one that came out last year, and then said, nope, no Skyrim on the Switch, thank you very much, goodbye. And they just left it at that. Also, I like how, I don't really know what game this is, I don't really care about it, but I like how this guy is on stage and he's like really energetic and he's like trying to get everyone excited, and he's like proud to be up there presenting his game. And then the translator is just having such a hard time following him. I mean, just listen to him for a minute. I'll play a clip.
Exchanging ideas with the indie game community, and we've been discussing about ideas for the new Nintendo Switch console, and I've heard that it's an easier platform to create games for, especially for indie developers. And so that matches with what we are expecting in a gaming development process. So this one game that I'm working on right now is running around in a game for Nintendo Switch. Thank you very much for your time today. It was Grasshopper Suda 51 signing off.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, it's like they picked this guy off the street and said, here's my phone, Google Translate's right there, you just take it away, you know. I mean, these people are like, get someone who's, you know, at least awake. I get that it's 11 p.m. and yeah, you know, people are working, but come on, man, at least try. And here at the end, they do this little montage of all the games that are gonna be on it, and they do show like Bomberman and Rayman and stuff like this. They do show, you know, snippets of the new Mario Kart, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think that's the name. So that's pretty cool that they did a little montage. So the release looks promising for the Switch. It looks like it's gonna go very well, except for the fact that they have like, so they're creating fake scarcity for the Switch. Besides that, everything looks like it's going to go smooth. But there was one last thing they happened to show off, so I'm gonna watch it and then come back with my thoughts. So I have a lot, well, maybe not a lot, but just like a decent amount of things to say about this Zelda trailer. So the gameplay in it looks very good. I mean, it looks fun. I mean, what are you gonna say? It's a Zelda game. There's voice acting. Who asked for this? I mean, you get that people want voice acting, but why? I mean, if you look at other games, when a game, this is a rule of thumb that I say game developers should always go by, but never do, is that if a game starts off with text, you should never ever go to voice acting, because that ruins everything about the everything about it, you know, everything about what the characters, you know, what you think about the characters and what people like to think about the characters. I mean, another common example that I always look at when it comes to this is Phoenix Wright. It's just bad. It's not fun. It's not good. I mean, people build these impressions of what these characters are like, and they like to keep these impressions. But when you create these impressions and say, no, your impression is wrong, then it just sort of drives away what people like to think. And it may seem like it wouldn't do much harm, but trust me, it doesn't do anything good. And it harms. It's basically annoying. That's what I'm saying. It's that it's annoying, and your game would probably be better off without it, because I don't think anyone really wants this. And another thing on top of this is, I'm watching the Japanese version right now, but I watched the English trailer. In the English trailer, it's like watching, you know, you don't want to watch an anime with like with a dub. You don't want to watch the dub of it. You want to watch the sub. And I bet you that Nintendo, I wouldn't count out the possibility that Nintendo is stupid enough to leave out the option to change what language the voices are voiced in. Because if players are gonna have to sit there, do the voice acting, and have to listen to it, then they, you know, might as well be able to change the voices. But I'm sure Nintendo will. I wouldn't count out the possibility of Nintendo not allowing players to choose what voices they get. But I mean, hopefully they do. And hopefully the game is subtitles, so that way they can actually understand what they're saying. And if they don't, then that'll be very stupid of them. Very. When a Zelda game, the 3D games tend to have more story than the 2D games. Story isn't bad. It's just when story takes a hold of the whole game, then that sort of, you know, can hinder the experience. But I mean, I'm sure they'll do it all right. But anyways, those are my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch presentation. I mean, it's just a presentation, so when the full thing comes out, then we'll have a much more clear look at what the Switch actually is and what it can do. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully you guys can grab yourself one of the Switches before they sell out. I mean, I was up till like 1 just looking at everything, and I remember people said that Walmart sold out in like less than 10 minutes. So I do hate how they're creating this fake sense of urgency to get one, because they shouldn't do that. It doesn't do any good. But I mean, other than that, you know, what are you gonna do? It's alright, I guess. anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, hopefully you guys stick around, because when the Switch comes out, there's gonna be more Switch content on this channel. But until then, or until the next video or whatever, see you guys later, and good night.